morning everyone. My name is Alex. Today I would like to present a solution to an increasingly common issue, the language barrier faced by non-Chinese speaking students in Hong Kong. And have a look at this news. It mentioned that only 1 in 10 NCS students secure a university degree through cuhk over the last 5 years due to the low level of Chinese proficiency. The entrance rate is just about 1/3 of the Chinese students. Imagine being one of 9 left behind. How would you feel? Now let's look at these data. The proportion of NCS inhabitants in Hong Kong rose from 6.4% in 2011 to 8.4% in 2021. In other words, the number of NCS students keeps growing up in the past few years. Meanwhile, the reading ability of those NCS students is only about 60% of the locally born Chinese-speaking students. These numbers suggest that the language barrier faced by NCS students in Hong Kong is a grave concern. In this presentation, I argue that the best way to tackle this issue is to provide the systematic language scaffolding to mainstream schools. And to do so, I'm going to briefly go over a major cause of the problem, followed by 2 possible solutions, and concluding with the best one. A major cause of the problem is social and cultural segregation. What is segregation? Segregation is the separation of students based on their ethnicity and race. Many NCS students find it difficult to enter mainstream schools in Hong Kong, and so they lack an environment where they can learn and practice Chinese with the local students. This may make it hard for NCS students to go for further and higher education, and they may also struggle to integrate into the community due to the low level of Chinese proficiency. So, what can be done about the problem? One possible solution is to provide tailored Chinese curricula in segregated schools. This could give NCS students an immediate and targeted support on Chinese. And it may be easier to implement too, as the teacher in segregated school already familiar with the special needs of those NCS students. However, this approach is problematic. It might bring a short-term improvement on NCS students' Chinese proficiency, but in the long run, they still can't speak well or read well, as there are lack of real-life practice with the local students. Therefore, this solution is basically impractical and insufficient. That brings us to a more constructive and sustainable solution, the systematic language scaffolding in the mainstream schools. Currently, the teacher training in mainstream school is too theoretical and lacking practical skills for the NCS students. Besides, mainstream school also lack relevant and suitable teaching materials for NCS students to learn Chinese. The Education Bureau should design a more comprehensive scaffolding in the language learning for all the mainstream schools. How can this be done? The EDB can provide professional teacher training to the Chinese teacher, so they can learn how to design appropriate and suitable teaching materials for the NCS students. And they can equip specific teaching strategies to teach the NCS students. And besides, the EDB should also update the curriculum, starting at the kindergarten level. But why is kindergarten level also included? This is because the early immersion is strongly correlated with the later on proficiency in the language. In this way, NCS students can have a better learning environment in the mainstream schools, and which not only improve their Chinese proficiency, but also their sense of belonging. To conclude, I argue that the language barrier faced by NCS students in Hong Kong is a serious problem, and systematic language scaffolding in the mainstream school, it can more effectively alleviate the situation. Hopefully, these measures can help NCS students to increase their Chinese proficiency and also better integrate into the community. Thank you. Is there any question?
Thank you, Alex, for your presentation. And I believe it's one of the major concerns for schools in Hong Kong, as there are more non-local students studying in Hong Kong. And as you mentioned, that we should design a systematic language scaffolding for mainstream schools in order to provide NCS students a better environment and opportunities in learning Chinese. So my question is, will scaffolding slow the learning progress of local students? Teachers may need to accommodate non-local students in Chinese class and may slow down the learning progress of the whole class? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think this is a very good question. As in the very beginning, as the teacher needs to adapt to the scaffolding, and they must need some time to train for the scaffolding, and it may affect the learning progress of the local student a little bit. But in the long run, I think the teacher may gain some experience of this scaffolding, and they can have a better and greater teaching materials for the both local students and the NCS students, so they may not affect their learning progress in the very long run. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation about how to get the non-local students to learn the Chinese. However, like in your first solution, you discussed that it's lack of the period of communication with the local students for the interaction. But I think in your solution two, in a Chinese class to the upstream, it's still lack a period interaction with just a local student, because we all know that a true communication between speakers can be a truly way to improve your language. How can you solve that? Thanks for your time.
I think that in the solution one, because it's in the segregated school, as segregated school is mainly concentrate the NCS students, and there are less local students studying there. But in the solution two, I think the scaffolding is mainly is used in the mainstream school, and the mainstream school is usually have many local students studying there, and I think maybe they don't have time to interact in the class, but maybe outside the class, maybe the recess or their resting time, they may also have many opportunities to interact each other. I think this can help to improve their Chinese proficiency.